Hi, I'm Despina Nicola from Dare to Begin Life Coaching, and I want to welcome you to another exciting live. And thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Today we talked about confidence, and we're looking at the trailer that I had where we talked about if you haven't been seen or heard, or if you feel that you're just going down a downward spiral sometime. Today we're going to look at that. We're going to look at our desired self, looking at the gap from where we are now and where we want to go. All of these issues will be addressed, and we'll be looking at skills to address the adversity that faces us and to develop confidence. Now, first of all, I want to tell you about a story about myself and how I came into confidence. Now, because I had to develop it, and it's been a process. At 11 years old, I remember sitting in the classroom. It was the maths class, and I remember just wanting to fall into my seat, just to fade away. And I remember my heart pounding, my heart feeling as if it was coming out of my mouth. I remember feeling all sweaty and feeling quite dizzy. And I was feeling just really, really just going down a downward spiral. And I saw the people in my class, my peers, they were all quite happy. They had no care in the world that they were going to get their maths test. No care whatsoever. But I felt that I was an imposter in that class. I felt that I was too dumb to be there. And I felt as if they were going to find me out. Now, I remember Mr. Johnson holding my test paper and coming towards me. And he had like this smirk on his face as if he was going to get pleasure out of telling me that I hadn't done well. And as he bent down, he whispered in my ear, "Despina, 3 out of 20. What have you got to say for yourself?" And at that moment, I felt all the blood rush out of my body. I felt myself going into my seat and fading away. And I said to him, "Sir, I am ashamed. I am so ashamed." Okay, and that was the beginning of my endeavours with confidence. 11 years old. George, my twin brother, he went through the same thing as well, because having a gap year, 1 year, and not going to school, this was quite difficult for us to be able to cope. And so, yes, so we both struggled. We both struggled a lot in school. Now, a lot of children, a lot of people face these issues. A lot of people are going down this downward spiral and trying to face confidence. And there's this big gap between where they are now and where they want to be. And all I can say to you is, even through humiliation, even through being pointed out as being incompetent, anyone can point you out. You can work through this adversity and you can become whoever you want to be. So you can bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And through that, because I didn't want any child to suffer what I was going through, I became a teacher and a life coach. And I dedicated my life to people like me who were struggling academically. I wanted them to feel confident that they can achieve. There is no unteachable child, only children we fail to teach. But confidence is a process, and there's no shortcut to it. You might fall, you might trip up, you might have to get up again and dust yourself off, you might fall again, but it's through consistent effort, trial and error, where you can adapt new skills to achieve. And my wrestle with confidence, it shadowed me right through my schooling years. Okay, so school was quite difficult for me. But, I managed to get there. Now, through this failing and succeeding, it can be quite overwhelming. But by falling down, you adapt new skills, and through those skills, you can use them for other situations too. Like for me, public speaking is not an issue because I've developed the skills of talking publicly, even talking to you guys. In the beginning, this was quite difficult for me, but through trial and error, failing, getting up again, maybe saying silly things, I can do it easily now. And that's what confidence is about. I can tell you a story about two frogs and how through trial and error, how one of them succeeded and the other one failed. So these two frogs were jumping around in a farmhouse kitchen, and they were inspecting and having fun going through the kitchen, and they found this big pot of cream. Tasting the cream, they both fell into the big bowl of cream. Now, they spent about an hour splattering around, and they tried to get out. One of the frogs became really tired, and he just gave up, and he drowned. He died. He fell to his death. The other frog kept on trying, and through trial and error, through hard work, he managed to make the cream into a buttery substance where he was able to stand on the butter and get out. Now, I'm not saying that in every situation he can adapt the same way to succeed, because maybe a cat might come into the kitchen and eat him up. But through adapting new techniques, finding new ways of doing things, maybe failing, maybe succeeding, he can adapt confidence, okay? And it's not one size fits all. There's a psychologist called Piaget. This is the one size fits all. I'll give you an example of how we can't adapt every situation with one skill. Confidence is developing different skills for different situations. So let's bring on Piaget. Piaget was a child psychologist, and he used to observe children and the way they behaved. And one day, a fly came and sat on a child's hand. Now, the child, intrigued by this fly, was looking at it and playing with it. And after the child got annoyed, because flies are quite annoying, it flicked the fly off his hand and the fly flew away. The child developed the skill that if a fly sits on if the fly sits on the child's hand, it gets annoyed, can flick it off, and the problem will be solved. Now, but after a few weeks, a bee sat on the child's hand. Now, the child flicking the bee off his hand, the bee stung the child. Now, the child has two ways to take this, to cope with this. The one, the child can be traumatized and develop a fear of bees and avoid bees for the rest of its life. And it can ruin its quality of life, or it can develop a new way of adapting to a bee and shooing a bee off its hand by taking a piece of paper and flicking it away, or by spray, or by, I don't know, various different ways. And so this is it. We can, by not developing our confidence, we can develop trauma, and this isn't good. And so we must move forward into difficult situations, and we must face problems, and we must become our desired self, just like me, a failure at school, an underachiever. Because of my ability to face life head on and to see that my insecurities were actually my biggest learning tools to help me in my career to become a teacher and see the weak student and actually be the teacher that will help them develop confidence in themselves, and to become a life coach and to write books about this and to do lives and to get a degree in psychology and a teaching degree and whatever, all of these things, and do coaching courses, all of these things. It doesn't matter what I've got, but what it matters is I, an underachiever, have become a lifelong learner. I've developed the confidence in myself to be this person that can be like the hand that can take people out of the pit and help people and walk shoulder to shoulder with them because of confidence. And so confidence is there, and it's in every single person. We can develop it. No matter what people label us, we can find that inside resource inside of us, that flowing light energy that will come up and it will guide us. Yes. And so that's what confidence it's about. It's a not one size fits all. It's trial and error and being consistent in your learning process. So I just would really like to thank you all for watching. Kenny, hi, and George, hi, and Gostas, and Richard from New Zealand, and Christagi, and Savas, and George, Yorgos, and Lambros, and Yangos. I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching, and anybody else who's joined in. And next week, we're going to talk about body image. And we're going to look at, how to feel good and confident about ourselves. And I would love you to subscribe to the social media channels, Dare to Begin Life Coaching, maybe on YouTube, our Dare to Begin Facebook group. And also, I would love you to visit my website. It's called despinanicola.com. despinanicola.com. And, you can find some articles there and some tips on life coaching. There's a whole ton of podcasts there. And I'd just love you to join our beautiful team. Our loving, warm team. Now, I'm going to say peace, love, and rainbows from Cyprus. And remember, guys, live your life.